He makes you groan. He makes you feel sorry for him.
Don't.
Oh, he doesn't want me to talk about it. He's a stand-up comic. Gets on stage with the mic and don't talk about me. All right. That was a bit of a roller coaster, but it was awesome. I liked the things that he tried, and it was good. Right? Any notes from this table? Any? Who are you here this weekend? Yeah. Suzanne. Oh, very good. You're gonna like. She's gonna be very. You might find out something about her that you didn't know. Maybe you did. I don't know what your friendship is like, but she's gonna reveal quite a bit, is my understanding. But she's not coming up next, so you have to wait. What is the name of the waitress? What is your name?
Nina.
Nina, everybody. Nina. Yeah. Is working hard. Welcome. Who's joining us? Who's joining us? Welcome. Who is this? Ma'am? Who are you? Welcome. Jamie. And what's your name? Jamie and Angie, everybody. Are you here for Josie?
Yes.
Oh my God, she's about to come on. How did you do that? You missed Jake.
It's the Irish blood. Was great.
Jake was great. Yeah. Do you want to come back up here and do your favorite joke, Jake?
Dude, no, I'm good.
He's had enough. Okay. So, the comedians are done. Over with. There's no more comedy tonight. There might be you're okay with that, Yahweh. So, so now what's going to happen is people are going to come out and tell stories and share their lives. They're going to open themselves up. They're going to be very vulnerable. They're going to be courageous. They might be funny. I don't know. Well, I don't know what they're going to say. I booked the show, but I have no idea what anybody's going to talk about except for Suzanne. How do you know Suzanne? PTA. Okay. Suzanne, you have some PTA members here. Holy crap, all right. Okay, so anyway, people are going to come, they're going to share their lives. You're going to see them in a different light. And it's, some of them are going to read. I believe Suzanne's going to read. Some of them are going to talk. But we're shifting gears a little bit now. Does anybody know The Moth?
Yes.
The Moth story? Okay. It's a little bit like that. Woo,
Yeah.
Anyway. It's going to be kind of more like that. So to start off tonight, our night of storytelling with our first story. This is a big deal. I'm very happy that she's here. I'm very happy that you got here right when you did. This is perfect timing. We're going to give a huge round of applause for our first storyteller of the night. And she is, it says on the thing that her name is Jose L. James. She's not Jose. She is Josie L. James. Please welcome her to the stage.
I'm backing Jake. I actually am a foster kid.
Woo, yeah! Okay.
Yes, and I actually remember being adopted. My mother brought me home to her house. And I remember the first night with her. She put me in pajamas, and she said, we're going to pray. And I had never prayed before. So I was like, cool, okay, how? And she got on her knees with me, and she did little prayer hands on her bed, and she taught me that now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray my Lord my soul to take. And then she put me in bed and read me Peter Pan. And then she tucked me in, and I asked her, like, so when you pray, do you just pray you don't die in your sleep? And she said, no, you pray for whatever's in your heart. Like I prayed for a family. And she kissed me on my forehead, and she got to the door, and I said, I prayed for that. And she smiled at me and said, I know, and shut the light off. And I remember laying in bed thinking, cool, like what else is she going to show and teach me? Well, she started taking me to church. And she would take me down to the basement to this room, which was Bible study. And in Bible study, I heard what I thought was more fairy tales, like poisonous apples, talking snakes, boys getting eaten by a whale. And a couple of weeks of this, I was like, I kind of want to do the real stuff. Like, I don't want the fairy tales. I want to go be with her. But I didn't know how to tell her that because she's my new mom and I didn't want to offend her. And what if she sent me back or changed her mind or returned me? So we walked up to the Bible class door and I didn't know how to say it. So what ended up coming out was just, no, thank you. And she just looked at me and said, what? And I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, can I go with you? And then all of a sudden she smiled and she said, you want to come with me? And I was like, yeah. And she got very proud. And she fixed my hair. She tucked my hair behind my ears. And she said, okay, let's do it. And I was like, let's do it. And we go back to the real deal room, where the sermon is and the preacher is. And she sits me down and she shows me prayer hands. I'm sitting there with my prayer hands. And I start listening to the service. And I really am listening. And the preacher starts talking about Noah's Ark. And I'm listening. Hi, guys. Oh, my God. So I'm listening, and I personally know how hard it is to catch a lizard. And I'm sitting here listening to this guy who caught lions and giraffes and hippopotamuses, which I had no idea how I knew, but I knew were very aggressive. And he did all this with his bare hands, and I'm sitting there, even birds. I'm like, what the birds? How do you catch birds? And I turned to my mom, and I'm like, are you buying this? And as soon as the words left my mouth and hit her face, something happened. A smile just drained, just vanished like magic. And she looked at me so stone-faced that I immediately knew whatever I said, I wanted to slurp those words back up and eat them and never speak them again. So I went from this position back to prayer hands and listening intently to the preacher, and I didn't speak for the rest of the service. The problem is neither did she. And then walking out, she didn't talk. And walking to the car, she didn't talk. And in the car on the way to lunch, she didn't talk. And I kept looking at her and I kept thinking, this isn't good. This isn't good. And we went to a Mexican restaurant. And we sat down at this red leather booth. And it was at that booth that she told me, she finally spoke. She said, look, when I was younger, I got really sick. I had a disease, and all I wanted in life was to be a mother. And this disease robbed me of it. And I lost everything. So what I started to do was pray to anything to get better. And slowly, she got better and better and better, and then finally the disease left. So in a way, her faith saved her life. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, it saved my life too, because I could be anywhere, and she's really cool. And so it saved my life too. So she looks at me and she says, really sternly, do you understand? Faith is not a joke. And I was like, I understand, yeah. But she was still stone-faced. So I fixed my hair how I thought she liked it, and nothing. And then I brought prayer hands to the table, and nothing. So finally I just raised my hand and said, can I go to the bathroom? And she was like, sure, go to the bathroom, stone face. And I got up from that table really affected. And I thought, this is really bad, this is really bad. She was so happy and so proud of me that I wanted to be with her. She wants a daughter who's gonna be like her, who's gonna believe like her. So I need to believe, and I don't know how. So I'm gonna do what she did, and I'm just gonna ask, like, just help me believe. And I was so, asking anything. And I was so in my head that I didn't go to the bathroom. I ended up behind one of those counter things with the ice and where the waiters get the drinks. And there was a waiter there with shoulder-length hair in a ponytail holding a tray of waters. And I was like, oh, great, now I'm going to be in trouble for being here. And he slowly turns around, and I'm waiting just to get yelled at. And as he's slowly turning around, this single ray of sunshine comes in through the window and lands on his head. And I can see these little dust particles that look like pixie dust. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I look at his name tag, and it says Jesus. Swear to God. So I'm standing starstruck at Jesus holding waters, thinking, is he going to turn those into wine? And then my second thought was, of course Jesus would have a job like this. He's like a humble servant. Here's a dude who can break bread and feed 100 people, which suddenly made the endless refills of chips make sense. Jesus, duh. So I'm just standing mano a mano, and he finally speaks. He goes, excuse me, just as humble and polite as you would think Jesus would. And I parted the galley like the sea. Like, my bad, Jesus, go on. And I watched him just magically carry his waters out into the restaurant until he vanished. And I skipped the bathroom and I went right back to that red leather booth where my mother was sitting, hands clenched, eyes shut, probably praying that she just adopted a heathen, which is fair. And I walked up to her and I put my small hand on her tightly bound fingers and I said, Mom. And she said, what? And I said, I saw him. And she said, who? And I said, Jesus. And she was still stone-faced. And she's like, you saw Jesus. And I was like, try to be mad at this. Yes, he works here. His name tag says it. The whole world can see, but no one noticed. Typical. Am I right? And then all of a sudden, I felt her hands lightly loosen. And her smile suddenly appear. And she leaned in and she said, I prayed for that. And I smiled and I said, I know. And I couldn't wait to see what else she was going to show me.
Just stepped outside.
Thank you.